Welcome to Analysts Gone Wild. It's Friday. It's a beautiful day in paradise, and we have a great team on today. Robert Kramer with More Insights and Strategy. I cover ERP, SCM, enterprise data, a lot of other things that relate to that. And the people on today with me are in comparison, and we're looking forward to a great topics that we're going to talk about. So, John, tell us a little bit about yourself. I got to see you a few weeks ago. We were in Seattle. It's kind of hard to, I kind of don't remember sometimes where I'm at, because you wake up in the hotel room, you're like, what city am I in sometimes? But I got to see a smiling face, John, and we talked to the CEO, John Case of Acumatica. We had some nice discussions. We hopefully see things a little bit aligned, and we had some nice chats. Tell us a little bit about where you're at today, what's going on in the world. I saw one of your Brian Summers the other day in that suite. So he's one of the, I know that you guys coordinate a lot of things together, but I got to see him as well. So, but give us some feedback on yourself and how you're doing.
All good. A little quiet before some more events, but co-founder Diginomica, we're kind of a media analyst hybrid, if you will. Hard to categorize, but what we're trying to do is just really understand what transformation looks like in the real world, what it means for customers, and it's kept us pretty busy because obviously there's a lot going on in that arena, and how AI fits into all of that, of course, is a hot topic, but in a way it always comes back to the same sort of discipline, right? Which is, how do you extract meaningful results and hopefully make people's lives better?
Well, I don't know if you could say it any better than that. That sounds pretty good. Donald, how you doing? And what's going on with you?
I'm great. I'm just back from a trip to Europe, where I've been visiting some European clients and seeing what's happening there. That's been super interesting. And I'm an independent advisor. I specialize in data and analytics, and so my focus is always on that data and analytics space. And that's an area that's been very disruptive, of course. But what's also interesting, what I'm seeing a lot just now, just literally in the last few weeks, I've seen a lot of it happening, is this change towards kind of scalability. People now just need to scale this stuff. They've experimented. Now they've got to make it real. This is the year where it becomes real. It's kind of exciting.
Maybe,
yeah. It's the year where we try to make it real.
Well, I don't know which year we're going to do that, but hopefully, the sooner the better. What do you think, Thomas? You always have some pleasant things to say, and add some super good value, whether it's positive or negative. It usually relates to what we're talking about.
We're going to have a big smile.
Thank you for the compliment.
Why do I hear a kind of a slap there?
I would never do that. You always have my back, especially when Sam likes to say how much Canada is better than the U.S. But whatever, different story every day.
Yeah. Thomas,
Canadians did pretty good in the Olympics, though.
So, Robert, it broke in between, and you know why that happened, right? Because you are talking about me and Canada. So whenever you are going to talk about that, the audio feed is going to break a little bit.
I agree. Okay, Thomas, finish up. Continue.
Yeah, Thomas Lieberneiter. I'm the founder, principal analyst of Head CRM. And as the name suggests, I'm covering whatever is customer facing from the process and from the systems angle.
Okay, nice. Sam, how we doing? What's going on?
Doing great. And Thomas is always ahead, and he pointed out that I am always behind. You are going to notice that on the deck that we are still using 2025, and sometimes I don't know where I am, Robert, either. Right now I'm in 2025. People have moved on to 2026. Sometimes it's hard. When you are in the ERP world, I think John might be able to relate.
You just want to give.
Well, the buyers are still there, but the vendors are not. How's that?
It's one more year of grace period for the vendors, so you're good to them.
Yeah, life is all good. At least when you read the press releases, that's how it sounds like. All right, about me, Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent, technology advisory firm and host of WBS Rocks. Robert, over to you.
Well, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about today, so let's jump into the first one. So we got this great new company, which is what is it? Optimove launches an AI decision Genie agent. So I know we always talk about agents and we always talk about what we can do. And do we care a lot about the agents, or do we care about the execution of what it does for the company? And I think when we talk about CRM, I think there's this kind of goes in your wheelhouse, Thomas. There's some, it does relate in how it executes and the marketing messages and how it expands the decisioning. But there has to be things put in place for the readiness of that company for it to actually work with, John, we talk about the data all the time. We talk about where the companies are at from a readiness standpoint. How does this work? And does it work for the buyers, the customers?
I wouldn't know whether this works for the buyers, especially since let's say it's a little slim on details, although it says there is an improvement in campaign efficiency. I have a little difficulty in cutting through the buzzwords here because there are a lot. Yeah. And while I think that it's quite interesting to have a fast turnaround in measurements on which types of messages do work and not, I have a hard time compiling that into real time. So there might be some value in there, but to me, it still needs to be shown.
Okay. What do we think on this one, Thomas? Not Thomas, Donald or John. You can go again. Sure, please.
Well,
I think.
Oh, go ahead, Don. Go ahead, Donald. You first.
I was just going to say, I think Thomas's confusion actually is very telling. That here's a technology which is supposed to improve the delivery of AI-generated marketing content, and yet their press release is unclear and difficult to cut through the buzzwords. I think that probably says quite a lot. But this idea here is actually sort of interesting. It's very easy nowadays to generate marketing content. It's too easy. You can generate vast amounts of marketing content. So the question then shifts to what content is going to work. And the approach here is, well, let's do A/B testing at scale. Let's just be able to do massive A/B, C, D, E, and G testing at scale. And so, rather than putting the effort into writing the best content, just generate anything and see what works, and use this technology to, to analyze what works. As a data guy, I find that kind of interesting, but as somebody who does a lot of writing, I find it a little depressing.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't get too depressed actually, because the idea that you can attract people's attention with just whatever generated crap you can get from AI is pretty naive. When they write here, this sentence is telling, in the Gen AI era, generating personalized content is easier than ever. That's true, but generalizing personalized content that actually matters to me, that I'm going to care about, is actually very hard and doesn't work very well. And hyper-personalization sounds great. The idea of sending people the right piece of content at the right time at scale definitely sounds appealing. And like Donald said, the advantage here is if you send so much of it to so many people, maybe you'll get some indicators. The problem being, though, that in the real-time moment, I have yet to receive any hyper-personalized, meaningful, real-time sort of signals from brands. So to me, this remains a little bit of a fantasy. And I spent a lot of time with Thomas on this topic of hyper-personalization. I do think there are ways to do it, but this idea that agents know what I want in this moment is really difficult, because my priorities shift like 5, 10, 20 times an hour, and I think I'm pretty typical of the average consumer. And the idea that you can figure out what I need in a given moment, I think is a little naive. And one of the things that frustrates me the most is that we have these new agents that are really good at interacting with people. So why doesn't a brand ever try to just ask people what type of content they want? Let the agent ask them, instead of trying to guess what they want. Just ask them. It's a chat interface. What kind of content do you like? When would you like it? How would you like to receive it? But no, the agent's got to be smart and guess everything and figure out exactly what I need at any moment in time. Well, I'll believe it when it works. And you notice this press release doesn't cite any examples of things with clients that they're actually achieving yet. So when they achieve something, that'll be really interesting to kick tires on.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're totally right. This should turn into a pull process rather than them pushing content towards you. If agents are that good, why can't you pull the content that you want and say,
Yeah.
this is what I'm interested in, and this is the format I want to consume it in, and give it to me. But yeah, it's very telling. And of course, the word they don't use, they miss out. They do say you can generate personalized content. They don't say you can generate good personalized content.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this requires, these teams to trust the AI, like you basically said. And I think that from the brand perspective, they don't understand the brand completely, and the individual customers, what they're needing as well. So I think that data, kind of going back to what you said, John, is that layer is just gigantic in this for it to execute properly. I don't think we're there yet.
In particular, the latter. So the brand probably can be put into some guardrails and some rag stuff, quote unquote. But understanding John and me is probably a bit more difficult.
Yeah, and you have to weigh out, like Thomas, what happens when you get something that rubs you the wrong way, that doesn't fit with you, but the agent thinks, okay, maybe you're being A/B tested on, but at what point do you start to lose faith in the brand that it really knows you?
Message one. Spam button. The spam button is very close to my heart.
So, guys, some very interesting points. And overall, when you look at any press releases, you guys are right that it's very hard to get any sort of insights. But one thing that is mentioned here, I don't think we have highlighted that, which is for iGaming and sports betting. And generally, the marketing challenges that you have in that specific space are very unique and nuanced in my personal experience. Okay. So I don't like to compare this with a bank. I think that's going to be naive. But you have fairly similar regulatory challenges. The way you have to personalize the messages. And when you personalize, obviously your goal is going to be to make as much money as possible. That's what.
What?
But that could fire back. So again, I mean, this is a very consumerized space, the way your banks or insurance are going to be, or even healthcare for that matter. And they have very, very, very unique challenges there. Now, it will be interesting to see what this AI agent can do. But from my perspective, I guess, what they are working on, there's going to be a lot more play by other companies as well in this specific space, because there were real challenges in this space from the marketing messaging perspective, given the industry constraints.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I thought you made a really good point, Sam, just now about the compliance aspects, and certainly gaming moves at high speeds, and if you can get some of the real-time data right for people, it does make a difference, because they're making gambling decisions in real time too. I think they should have emphasized some of the compliance features more, because that's where it does get interesting, because instead of just pushing out stuff in a variety of contexts, like, yeah, we push out stuff, but we do it in a way that's compliant with gaming regulations in your state or region. That's interesting, because now you're bringing that in. I don't see that in the press release, but I think if they're doing that, that'd be interesting to emphasize.
Yeah, that's where I guess they should be hiring one of you guys to write the press releases, because that's not the way, this is not the way they should be writing this, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah. Next one, Robert, or?
Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, sure. So RainFocus benefits from this new introduction of the RainFocus Nexus. It's a secured, I guess, cloud agnostic system. These are kind of all relating to each other or intertwining based upon agents and how these things work, and they creating a new framework for how companies can benefit with capabilities with this new partner system. I think there's some challenges with this agentic workflow that they're introducing. I'm not sure this is as far advanced as the customers are capable of using this. There's challenges with the system, how the agents are all going to collaborate together. Kind of, if you look back at what we just talked about, how things have to kind of match up with the data, et cetera. I'll kind of go to you first on this, John. What do you think on how this all kind of assembles in a workflow, and how the challenges of depending on depends on the guardrails and the training and how the agents incorporate the feedback of these processes. Does this work, or what do you think?
Well, it can definitely work. I mean, I think this is an interesting one on event marketing, et cetera. I think so. Like a couple problems here. I think it would have been interesting to kind of describe what the problem event marketers are facing, like what their challenges are before diving into the paradigm shift language. But there's two things that one you alluded to, Robert, which is it's really useful when you can provide agents with proper context, so to speak, and in this case, event marketing type data. But it's also important to help orchestrate them as you're started building more. We talked about this before we went on the air. We want to have more results this year. That means we're going to need to orchestrate agents a little bit better instead of doing one-offs. And it strikes me that this so-called three-tiered architecture is going to be a factor for that. One thing you have to really look at carefully is what specific scenario. So for example, like if the agent is managing event marketing messages and stuff like that, then that's really useful. When it's talking about making event recommendations in real time, that's where it gets a little careful, because like if you tell me, for example, the wrong floor or the wrong location for or something's been moved and the agent doesn't know that, like that could really cause me a problem at an event. So you have to be really careful with these things. Like there's a huge difference between marketing something for me where you have a little margin for error versus if you're recommending something in real time and you send me to the wrong event location or the program doesn't exist or there's some nuance that isn't there. Like you have to be really careful how you design that. I'm not saying that you couldn't do it, but that's actually a pretty strong technical challenge, even though it seems like why would it be, but it actually really is. So one thing I would have really liked to see would have been some quotes from some so-called alpha customers instead of quotes from executives. So that would have, I think, made the press release better.
Good point.
That was totally missing. So it's basically a forward-looking statement, right? So they are planning to do something, to deliver something that may or may not deliver value to customers. So to me, it's almost like an attempt to redefine the category of event management software.
And it's very forward-looking. I mean, they're talking about 2026, but maybe 2027. It seems like very far in the future for something they're not. I mean, the shipping timelines are very vague.
I think
what needs to be in place for this to work, guys? Though I think that's kind of John. You said some great things. So did Thomas and Donald. What do these customers need for this? The customers of RainFocus, what do they need to embrace this better? Because we need to get there. So what's in between?
What this is basically a statement of intent. We are going to do something, and whether this is something that anybody at all needs or not is totally up in the clouds. Totally. So now one can say business is rational, so there is some demand, but even then there should have been a customer statement of John called it alpha customer, one that accompanied the development or that triggered this development to state what is the actual need that gets solved. So to me, this sounds like, well, we are doing the same, just different.
I'm a lot more encouraged by agentic scenarios when I see they've been co-developed with customers, because those are the ones that really emanate from the problems that customers are facing, and that's really fertile ground. I'm not sure the problem statement here is totally clear. The solution being offered up around orchestrating real-time data does potentially make sense. I mean, events do take place in real time, and I mean, who on this call wouldn't appreciate the ability to interact with your event software? Where I mean, I was just at events like the last few weeks where I was like, where am I going next? What floor is this on? Like, if you could do that like reliably through an interactive interface, it might be really, really helpful. But again, that's actually a pretty formidable challenge, and I think they would have wanted to say why they think they can do this and how it would work. Some of the event marketing stuff is different, Robert, but it comes down to basically helping people make better use of their data. Like, okay,
Yeah,
you have all this data on your attendees and what they've liked in past events. Can we turn that into some kind of real-time execution framework? It sounds good in theory. Will it work?
Yeah, I think this is a real problem here, because when you think of it from a data point of view, one of the big problems with event marketing and the workflow that they were talking about is that event data is so siloed just now.
Yeah.
And it's very siloed and it's very poor quality. And the golden aim of this has always been, can I build a genuine EQL, an event qualified lead? Can I get a lead at an event, qualify it in real time with my CRM system, and get back to that, event attendee and re-engage with them at the event to take it further? And I guess they want to do that, but my problem is, wouldn't a CRM system be, over the next 2 years, by 2027, capable of doing this anyway? Aren't they capable of integrating an agent that could do this? If RainFocus can do this, couldn't
Sure.
the CRM do this as well?
Is the goal for the attendees or for the vendor who's running the event to get more capabilities, or both? Thomas?
I think they're trying to do both.
Well, they're covering both angles.
Yeah.
But the main customer, of course, is the one that manages the event.
Well, so guys, we go to these events, and wouldn't it be better for us to have more content around who we should be meeting with, which customers? It should go all, maybe try 3 different ways. The analysts, the media, the customers, the prospects, the vendor itself, more information to have everybody kind of work together to get more out of these events. Because sometimes we'll go in there and we're not able to meet with the right people because we don't know enough unless we do more research.
I could totally see how event marketers would love it if it was like, hey, John and Thomas are heading to the reception. You might want to get your executives out of there, before they start bothering your executives with pesky questions, So there is a lot that happens real time at events, Robert, to your point, right? Like, how do you seize the moment, make the right connections? And then to Donald's point, how can you build that into your overall, customer lead gen execution experience that you're trying to deliver? I think Donald raised a really, really important point here, which is, I think the fallout from all of this is going to be interesting in terms of which areas are so important that we need more narrow, specialized agentic orchestration, and when are we going to fall back on larger providers with bigger platforms? And, like a larger CX platform might be able to incorporate some of this pretty effectively. So I don't know exactly how all that's going to play out, but my bet is more on the larger platforms. But I also think it's refreshing when smaller vendors try to solve a problem. I just think that if you're going to solve a problem, spell out what that problem is you're trying to solve, please.
Exactly. And talking about solving problems, there's a real a genuine tell in this press release where they say the process incorporates a human in the loop for continued governance. That's the tell that they don't know what to do. We don't know what to do, so we'll put a human in there.
And Donald is so right, I guess, overall, when he talks about the fragmentation of the market, in this particular case, when you look at the event management market, even the larger CRM players, they don't necessarily have that functionality. I don't know why they don't have, maybe because they want to enable the ecosystem, and that's why they have not incorporated. I don't see this as a problem for Salesforce or HubSpot to develop that, but generally their approach is more, partner centric, so that other companies can develop their IP. For the most part, I don't know a real CRM platform except maybe Adobe. They have some event-centric functionality. Microsoft can pretend that they have the real marketing automation play, but they have some operational event functionality. But as such, it's really missing. And I think we are probably going to be the best proxy of the customer for events, because I guess we all are doing a lot of events, and sometimes I forget whether I am event business or ERP business. So this is a real problem, to be completely honest. Even if you are going to set up this on maybe Zoom, there is no real integration between these platforms, it's very hard overall. So, I can see some possibilities here. Robert or John, I guess you made a comment whether you are going to get some alert whenever you are going to head to any sort of events. All of us would appreciate that. Sometimes there are apps where you can see literally everybody who is heading to the event and you can ping them. They have done that, but again, that's a very siloed experience. From the agent perspective, there is a possibility that you might get those alerts, but people don't want those because the people who are going there and who you want to meet, they don't want to get pitched. They are going there for educational experience, but it's very rare that you are going to find any educational experience in consensus, because the people who are spending time with these sessions, their goal is just the lead generation. So it's always tricky.
Sam, you make a really important point here too, which I think is a pattern we're seeing in these press releases so far. And I really want to see vendors hit harder on how they can differentiate around things like compliance and data privacy and stuff like that. And this press release was a great opportunity to talk a little bit about protecting data privacy and opt-in scenarios for attendees. And I don't know about you guys, but when I get like, oh, we're going to track you real time through the core. Increasingly, there's these real time trackers on your badges and stuff. And it's like, I don't know if I want the managers of this event to know exactly when I took restroom breaks, when I went for a walk outside because the keynote was just unbearable. Like, I don't know if I want them to have that data, and so I think there's this interesting thing around like, how transparent are we going to be in your data usage? I would like to see more language like that, because if you figure that out, you have a better chance of being the trusted AI framework for event marketers. And so I'd like to see more of that language.
I think these events need to take I think you're all saying the same thing, but when we go to these, I think we can go to another level of complexity that we're able to opt into and get information. So John, like if we opt in that we want more information and companies want more information from us, we could have more successful meetings with the customers. But there could be another executive or marketer or product manager who might want to gain and bend our ear that we could all opt in and we could be matched and get this information while we're on premise at these events and get more mileage out of this, out of our travels. That's all. Yeah. And I don't think there's no one tying it all together, and we have to do that ourselves, or the leads of these vendors have to take that on. But there needs to be something to bring it all into a place that works.
Yeah, and that's what I meant by how siloed the systems are today. All that data is there. It's just very siloed and difficult to bridge across.
Yeah, these events could be more successful for everybody if there was something bringing it together. I mean, sometimes these, Mark Benioff from Salesforce talks about the hotels that have this content, and when a customer stays at a hotel, that's being tracked, and so they know that you like to go horseback riding, Sam, or that you like the Toronto Blue Jays, and they have tickets for you because they know that that's your passion. So when we go to these events, that we want to know that John tracks certain things in ERP and has a big voice in this, Donald, Thomas, me as well, Sam. And I think if we bridge that gap a little bit clearer, there's some benefits to everybody in exhausting these resources that are in the presence of these events. So.
Great points. Do you want to go to the next one, Robert?
Yeah, let's go. Okay. Let's go. This is a really good one, ServiceNow, and most people know who they are, which is a workflow and automation platform. AI, OpenAI is a foundation model provider. Putting them together, what does it do? That collaboration, I think, brings more a strategic alignment and, I guess, more of a tailored approach for ServiceNow to utilize the services of OpenAI. I think that this is a benefit for, obviously, ServiceNow. Let's talk a little bit about the pros, the cons, the challenges, the implementation, what the benefits of the customers are of ServiceNow, and the deployment of this. What do we all think?
I'll start. So here, I guess, I mean, one thing that I am finding very exciting is overall collaboration with these LLM technologies, and I don't know where they are going to end up, whether they are going to be their own companies, entities. There is a possibility, but obviously this collaboration is how the market is going to move in my mind. OpenAI was very well aligned with Microsoft. Then a lot of other players came along. I think Salesforce is more aligned with, no, they are not aligned with Perplexity, I believe. They are aligning with OpenAI or
With all
I
of
don't know.
them.
All of them?
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, everybody's aligning with somebody. That's my understanding so far. I think Oracle is also aligned with OpenAI, if my recollection is right. But I mean, right? Yeah. So that's why, I mean, it's very, very, very... Yeah, very interesting to track these alliances, because that's how the market is going to move. So here, and I don't know what ServiceNow is going to do. They are investing heavily, I would say, in AI. I don't know if they are going to acquire any sort of LLM. I don't know how that's going to play out in the market. So overall, these developments are very interesting in my mind.
I have a little bit of a different take. I think LLMs are primarily going to become commodities, and I prefer agnostic approaches of being able to swap out whichever LLMs are better at that point in time for customers. And ServiceNow does have an agnostic approach to where I understand it, as well does Oracle. Oracle's relationship with OpenAI is a little bit different, because there's a lot of infrastructure stuff going on there that is highly controversial and interesting to discuss.
Yeah.
But I actually don't think that these vendor frontier model alliances are where the really promising stuff is for vendors. I do understand why they're doing it, but again, like, frontier models are the most expensive models, and OpenAI by the way, has a lot of business distractions right now because it's losing so much money while trying to justify its existence. And so it's working on putting ads into search. It's working on the porn business. It's not laser focused on the enterprise per se. But I get excited about ServiceNow because of its overall, how it's really looking more at framing the kind of AI that helps enterprise customers. And like, so when you look at the, their work they've done on the control tower, on their various levels of predictive intelligence, Now Assist, agentic AI, different levels of AI, how they feed workflow data into that, enterprise specific data. I get excited more about that and industry specific approaches. I think enterprise vendors are doing a great job of making AI more compliant, more risk adjusted, and more specific to customers. And I think that's where the real action is. These frontier models are very expensive. So when you look at it, you have to figure out, do we really need the latest and greatest model and all the inference costs that they bring? Or do we need something smaller maybe and more industry specific and much more affordable to run? And to ServiceNow's credit, I know they're asking all those questions internally. This just isn't the part that excites me the most about their strategy, just me personally. But one thing that you do see though, and part of this is the press release format where we don't really define the problem statements a lot of times very well. There's some speech to speech stuff here that's pretty interesting. And from what I'm gleaning from this, where the frontier models are excelling is around across various languages, and language communication in AI has been a challenge beyond English for a while now. And so the better you can get across, global organizations, helping people to interact with systems, if that's what they're really focused on here, I think that could be a really good use of frontier model technology. So part of this is just write a press release that really tells us when you're using a frontier model and why, and don't just expect me to be excited because you're working with OpenAI. I'm sorry, but that doesn't work for me.
From my end, this is more an enterprise power play. So there are 4 or 5 big players that all come from different angles to do the same orchestration of enterprise processes, and of course do the bits within the enterprise processes. Now, ServiceNow comes from the process angle very much so, and what they need to do is shine. And give consistency to their clients. Same as the other vendors. All three of them that I mentioned, and Oracle as well, are partnering with OpenAI. ServiceNow is also shortly after that, a week after that, they announced a partnership with Anthropic for different angles. So what they are playing here is the game of, yes, we are open. Yes, we provide stability to you, dear customer, because we are playing first of all with the big guys in the field, whether they are profitable or not. And we do that plan to do that for a longer period.
Yeah.
So this they need to defend their position or further their position against the vendors that are coming from a business application incumbent side, be it a Salesforce that comes in from the customer side, or an SAP that comes more from the ERP side, or more comes from an ERP angle, and Oracle that comes from down below with the hardware angle. So they are enforcing their spiel here, which is a good thing, which keeps things interesting, actually.
Just real quick, Thomas.
Interesting.
Just real quick to your point, Thomas. I think Anthropic stuff is really interesting, and I think what they're doing with Anthropic, I would pay a little closer attention to, just because Anthropic's doing some really interesting enterprise plays right now with Claude Code and co-work and stuff like that. Anthropic's a little more laser focused on the enterprise right now than OpenAI. So if I were tracking the developments, I'd be looking closer at that one.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think the this question of preferred vendor status is a difficult one, because I'm not sure that enterprises are actually at a stage yet where they want to commit to one vendor. I think the openness is actually would be much preferable, especially when, and John made a really important point about the cost of these frontier models. I mean, ServiceNow are saying they run 80 billion workflows a year. Well, 80 billion workflows a year on GPT 5.2 inference, that's super expensive. And how many of these workflows actually really need to run in a frontier model when they could actually run in a small language model or a that it seems there's something here that the numbers don't really add up. But the other thing John said I thought was super interesting was about the speech-to-speech. I think that capability is very important. But the one that really got me excited about this, and I don't get excited about press releases very much, but this one, the bit one I really thought was interesting was the computer use model. Because I think that opens up the possibility of automating legacy systems, which have been really difficult to bring into the ServiceNow world so far. That if you could actually sort of use that computer use model to automate a legacy system like a mainframe or custom AI solutions, that could be seems to be quite interesting. So I'm interested in that part of it.
Yeah, so I guess Thomas is saying that we have a question here, and I think we could do 101 on Gen AI. So I don't know, John, you want to take this?
LLM versus agentic or automation. Well, look, I mean, I on some level, I think you step back and just say the most important thing is that the customer needs to get a result with the most affordable and effective technology for that result. Sometimes it's a combination of different technologies, and sometimes it's only one. One way you could kind of classify this is you could say that automation is kind of like classic RPA type stuff, where it's deterministic workflows that are executed that aren't, quote unquote, it's very intelligent, but always kind of work for you the way you've configured them. Agentic is opening up a different kind of level of autonomy where agents would actually complete tasks on your behalf. Most of the agents we refer to today are tied to LLMs. That doesn't have to be the case, but the way we use agentic right now is generally implying an LLM agent, which has got some very appealing planning and orchestration features, but is a probabilistic scenario that can make mistakes. LLMs, which underlie the agentic technology, could be more applicable to cases like assistance, where it's not actually automating something, but you're interacting with the system to get advice or to get information or stuff like that. But to me, what I get really interested in is not like definitions and semantics, but how are customers using these technologies to their advantage in affordable ways? And so, just to be clear, I think, in the case of ServiceNow, I think they're one of the most interesting AI players in the entire enterprise. I'm not trying to be grouchy. This press release just doesn't excite me that much compared to some of the other stuff they're doing, and that's just a me thing. So
Yeah, great points. And I think Thomas is running into some difficulties at his end. So I think he'll be back. And he does not have the agent configured, I guess. He should do that. He should
yeah,
clear him.
where's Thomas's virtual agent avatar to fill in for him with real-time data that is context aware?
Seriously.
Oh well.
Okay, Robert, you want to go to the next one?
Yeah, let's go. So I'm sure you guys, I'm not sure, we all know who Microsoft is, but Algolia, that's a search and AI indexing firm. They're moving forward with collaboration with a little bit more with Microsoft and their real-time product data. What does this do for the shopping experience? I'm not sure who's close to this or not. How does this benefit the customers? Is it able to scale? What are the challenges? I would think it gives some more real-time shopping advantages, search capabilities. There's always challenges with these things. Everybody always looks at the bright side and thinks it's always a winner. But when you come into the execution, there's what are the early proof points? And there probably is some with how they manage their attributes mapped to how the customers do different queries. But at the same time, what do we need to look at that these companies have not?
Well, let me just make a quick comment and then other people can chime in. I just wrote a big piece on agentic commerce, so I've been thinking about these issues a lot. This press release is a little bit refreshing for me because it actually does pertain to a real problem, which they state, which is that the brands are having a little more challenge because the on-site experiences are getting more rare and people are starting to have these more shopping related discussions in all these different new forms, including in the context of AI chats. I could pull some stats on that in a little bit, but the point being, like, you got to go where the customers are, right, Robert? And to your point, that doesn't mean that you can, just because you affiliate with Microsoft, that everything starts working great. But the point is, there is a lot of importance in trying to get your brand and a good shopping and brand experience in the context of the chats that we're having with agents. The challenge, of course, is that a lot of that catalog data that you have doesn't necessarily sync up with how agents want to consume information. So to get to your challenges, there's a lot of meat on the bone in terms of getting the data right. Imagine the problems you can run into when you have inventory and product availability shifts and your catalog isn't compatible with how agents are sourcing data. So there's issues to solve, but I think this is a promising direction.
Yeah, it seems like somebody was disagreeing in the background, John, when you were talking.
Loki always has an opinion.
Well, I mean, you can't please every species and subgroup.
Especially not German shepherds.
So, guys,
All right,
in this particular case,
who wants to go next? You going, Sammy?
Yeah, I can go. So here, I'm definitely curious about your piece, John, and what you're writing about agentic commerce. I think that's a real thing. I think we are going to see that a lot more, and I'm pretty sure even Thomas is going to have a lot more say on this one. But for the most part, if you look at Algolia's position, they are primarily the composable search platform. That's how I see their position in the market, right? Now, search was a real problem, okay, until AI came along. Now, with AI, I don't know how relevant their offering is going to be. I think it should still be relevant because Gen AI can do much better, I would say, in terms of searches. And then you are publishing these product catalogs, and I don't remember the name of the protocol that Shopify has published to OpenAI, I believe. So there is going to be a little play there in terms of the whole agentic commerce experience. So I don't know where these guys are going to fit. Most likely, it seems like they have a place there in the new architecture. And I would like to see what that is. I don't know where merchandising players are going to go. I think there is a little, the proprietary strategies that you employ for merchandising, and that's where all of your supply chain suites are going to be handy. But when you talk about just the merchandising from the e-commerce perspective, that's not a real merchandising, but you still have to do that. So where all of this is going to play out, and whether you are going to feel comfortable sharing this data with LLMs, product data you need to share because you need to push it to the web. So, I mean, all of those questions are going to be in my mind when I look at this story.
Yeah, I think you're right about Shopify. I think it was UCP. Is that what you're meaning? The
Yeah, you're right.
universal,
Exactly. Yeah.
universal commerce protocol. I mean, I think that is very important. But compared to this, where Algolia are really only providing, as John said, it's inventory and availability sort of information. I don't know that Microsoft in particular has enough of share of the AI shopping market for this particular announcement to be significant. This seems to me like at least, at very least, Microsoft's share is pretty uncertain. So, investing in just this one platform, I don't know that it makes that much difference. Are retailers really wanting to, kind of hand over all their pricing and availability information to Microsoft? Does that shift the bargaining power onto, for on-site traffic? It doesn't seem to be significant enough for retailers to make that much difference, just with Microsoft's kind of uncertain market share.
Yeah, it really depends on whether Microsoft provides an avenue into OpenAI and ChatGPT, where Microsoft does have, an ongoing partnership. However, it's been more troubled partnership of late. But the first protocol, we have competing protocols right now because OpenAI announced their Agentic Commerce Protocol, ACP, in September, and then Google came out with UCP, which you referred to in January. As of early 2026, on ChatGPT, to Donald's point, approximately 2.1 to 5% of daily prompts, 50 million to 125 million daily queries focused on purchasable products or shopping research. So you can understand why vendors want to get into this game and the next phase of this, because of these protocols, is not totally agentic commerce. It's more executing a buy now transaction in the middle of AI chat research, right? So if you're researching stuff and you want to be able to buy, you want to be able to trust that when you hit buy, it's going to handle that correctly with all of the protocols that are in place for that within the context of your chat. And, Algolia obviously could play a role in all of that with better search information and better results. But to Donald's point, I don't think the Microsoft tie-up, it would be just the beginning of that play.
Yeah. Microsoft is probably only a small part of it, actually.
Yep.
So I may have a different take on that, and I don't know, Thomas, you might have far more insight, and maybe John as well, in terms of Microsoft's market share. As far as my understanding goes, in the CRM space, Microsoft does have substantial market share, and in that CRM,
substantial.
Well, so I guess in the enterprise market, I mean, which players are you going to use in the enterprise market? I mean, if you are looking for enterprise capabilities, you have Salesforce, but what else do you have? At least from the operational workflow perspective, sure. I mean, you have Zoho, but I don't know how many logos they have from the enterprise perspective. Now, where are you going to go? Are you going to go to Oracle, SAP? I'm not sure how many companies are going to feel comfortable about that. So that's where I do feel that Microsoft does have, and that's why if you look at Salesforce, they are always going after Microsoft because they see them as the main competitor, the main rival, I would say, and they don't even go after SAP. SAP goes after Salesforce, but Salesforce never goes head to head with, so that's how I have seen the market. So in this particular case, I do feel that Microsoft has substantial market share, I would say, at least in the commerce segment of CRM. The way their CRM is designed. No, you don't agree?
No.
Thomas is like, no, come on. What are you talking about?
Microsoft, in the broader CRM market, Microsoft is probably number 2 or 3 right now. So with a market share of less than 5%. Yeah.
They have a substantial share of insubstantial users.
Yeah. So and.
But just real quick though, this is about Copilot, Bing, and Edge, not about Microsoft's enterprise CRM.
So
this is about shopping experiences and Copilot, Bing, and Edge more than anything. And I don't think a lot of people are going to be doing their shopping on their Microsoft enterprise CRM.
No.
So John, to your point, I think this is really the start of a lot of activity that we're going to see in this space because of the fact that it's not really, it's advanced a tremendous amount, but there's more advancing that can be done. And this is a component of it. What do you think about that? I mean, based
Yeah.
on what you just wrote. I mean, but how much technology do we need in this space?
We don't know yet.
Don't know. Get right.
Robert, welcome to the winners and losers, scenario here. We don't know who's going to emerge as the winners. Consumer behavior is changing. I mean, even with OpenAI, OpenAI had a pretty decent little moat of user experience buy-in. And, now that's clearly spread a lot with, Gemini's competitive, et cetera. So where are people going to be doing these kind of shopping-based interactions? Probably all over the place. And like you said, who's going to capitalize on that across these different settings? And you have competing protocols even, which is not encouraging, right? You don't want competing shopping protocols from different vendors out there. You really want one protocol. So anyway, it's a complicated market. And so I think vendors are going to spread a lot of bets. And to me, I just read this as a couple vendors are making a small bet here, and they're going to learn some stuff together about how to win in this space. But they're all, like Donald says, this isn't going to be winning at scale, I don't think, because I don't think if you capture the shopping market on Microsoft Edge, you're not going to be winning at scale in commerce right now.
But I think the winners are the ones that understand the buyers and and what they need to be more successful and to buy, at the right time and more, I guess. Do you see this as more both B2B and B2C, or just B to what?
First B2C.
Well, this announcement is B2C based, but the lines are blurring, as Thomas will gladly tell you.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you're looking at whatever is agentic commerce or just commerce, let's call it just commerce, we are moving away from rich user interfaces to supporting the same product discoverability, and this is one of the core points, the discoverability, across different types of interfaces. Yeah, so, and this is where Algolia now puts a stake into the ground by supporting that with at first one provider that provides them with a hook in to provide an interface to the users, which is the Copilot.
What are the competitors doing to this?
Well, Salesforce just acquired another one. Was it Simulate? Simulate, I think is the name. It's also about discoverability.
What's Amazon doing?
It's about stronger. Amazon, well, they probably do their own stuff. Google created a system right now where they announced it at NRF. SAP has a bunch of bots. So we are purely talking commerce here. That's why I went into the CRM portion. So CRM is not interesting here. This is commerce.
This has to touch many different vendors, though, John.
Shopify does all sorts of stuff. So basically all e-commerce vendors are turning themselves into commerce vendors, trying to blur the boundaries between different types of user interfaces and even the store.
Robert, sorry, you want to do one more? I think we are running out of time.
I think we're running out of time.
I'm done.
One more?
I think probably we're going to cut it close. We can go through it. Let's go through Cast AI real quick.
Okay.
And so Cast AI, it's a cloud cost optimization platform for Kubernetes and AI workloads. They announced that they've reached the unicorn valuation, highlighting rapid growth, et cetera, automating cost optimization for their container AI workloads. Do we like this? Do we think obviously by new funding that it helps? There's obviously the major challenges, especially in FinOps and things of that nature, those platforms with the Kubernetes. What do we think? Who's got some good knowledge and artifacts around this?
It's probably going to be John, but I'll provide my insights, and maybe Donald as well. But from my perspective, I keep hearing a lot of different things from the environmental optimization perspective in the development environments. That's where this is going to be a fit. In my mind, I think there is a real play here for these technologies, and that's probably the reason why they have such higher valuation.
Yeah, but to that, every major cloud provider, every hyperscaler is now building their own native cost management and right sizing tools. So I worry about the kind of the future, 2-3 years down the line, will Cast be able to keep ahead of what's just coming as a as native functionality in the platform? They have a lot of work to do if they want to keep ahead of that to be worth the extra.
So
yeah, but they got the funding because there is because there is the opportunity. The funding doesn't occur unless they go through massive structures and evaluations to get that funding. So there has to be an opportunity.
I wouldn't assume that all funding represents a real opportunity.
So Donald, there's always a
Especially
place.
when SoftBank are involved.
Yeah, they don't. The only
Donald,
hands-on-
don't ruin their press release, Donald.
But
They have a really happy the picture of the three of them there. They look really happy right now. Come on, man, let them have their moment.
If I was a Lithuanian billionaire, I would be happy. Yeah, for sure.
So guys, from my perspective, Donald, to your point, I guess, there's always a place for agnostic, cost optimizer versus vendor provided cost optimizer. Those two are two completely different things. Obviously, vendor is going to optimize cost from their perspective, but here we are talking about multiple platforms optimizing cost across the platforms. So that's why, they are powerful. I'm pretty sure there are going to be many of Cost AI. Once there is a possibility that they might get acquired with one of these vendors. So that's why valuation, that there is a potential for everything, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm a great believer in the power of good enough.
Just real quick, this press release gets my Informal Award for the best press release of the bunch. Now, I'm not saying it's the best market opportunity. But in one paragraph on this press release, you have a bunch of words such as compliance, controls. There's also management of inference compute, like workloads across clouds, GPU shortages, so acknowledging regional shortages. It's looking a lot at geographical variance, which I think is really important and plays into data sovereignty themes also with different regions. If they like you said, Sam, if they can succeed as being a trusted vendor agnostic thing, maybe they have a future there. But I do like that they're trying to hit on real world problems. How successful they will be, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap up, guys. I got a question for all of you. So we'll start with John. What industry today is going to benefit the most from AI, and in 5 years will be most beneficial? And we'll make this quick. Everybody go around the horn real quick.
Oh my gosh. Geez. I guess retail right now, but I think in the long run I would look to manufacturing.
I like that. Donald?
Yeah, I think it's got to be manufacturing. I think there's a nexus of so many different things in manufacturing.
Thomas?
Yeah, it's probably 3 Neil, because right now it's retail, whatever's B2C actually.
Yeah.
And
why is that? Just in your opinion.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It's simple. And manufacturing, probably not yet. Yeah, well, it depends on how good robotics actually will become.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's retail, but it's also potentially transportation, maybe, depending which transportation. But I think when you get into the manufacturing, I think we could look at some of the process manufacturing come a little bit sooner. Yeah. The robotics is going to be complex because you're getting into discrete manufacturing and things of that. That's a gigantic mountain. But it needs to happen because some of these industries need help to be more efficient because they're not gaining a differentiating advantage with their systems the way that they're at now to scale the way they need to. The goal is for these systems to be more efficient, to grow with the same amount of people. Sam, over to you.
Yeah, I would say tech or media. I think those are probably going to be the biggest beneficiary, and that's where we are seeing the biggest hit as well, and consulting as well to some extent. Okay, so do you want to wrap, Robert, or?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Perfect. All right. So thank you so much for joining, guys. We meet every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. So I'll see you next week. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.